So, on the back of COVID in the UK, there has been an increase in the rise of young Muslims who are learning the traditional funeral art of like the Islamic last rites called ghusl. So, a scheme to teach the traditional Muslim funeral ritual of ghusl to a new generation has been set up in the UK. Ghusl is the ritual washing and shrouding of the deceased ahead of burial and is one of a number of certain religious obligations that have to be carried out after death. And this has been
Very, very,
brought
very,
on.
very quick note. Very quick
Yeah.
note on that. So every Muslim, when he dies, you have to bathe them before you put them in the 6 feet under. So Muhammad, well, I only came to know of it, and that there's some few traditions, and people will put that in the comment section themselves because our audience is very educated, and I'll pin that. So make sure you do that. There are a few instances. So Muhammad was very protective of his penis.
Mhm.
So women, even his wives, were not allowed to have a good look at his penis. I think it was probably deformed or something. Who knows? So even when he died, there was instructions that nobody was allowed to look at his penis. This is the reason that only men give ghusl to men and women give ghusl to women
Mhm.
if a woman dies. So, but in Muhammad's case, even men who bathed him, even they were not allowed to have a look. But I'm sure there would have been some cheeky one who would have been like, "Oh, so that was the fuss was all about." So anyway, just a side note.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that actually because that thinking concerning like, your like private parts at the time of death and that is still very much embedded into like the thinking of Muslims today. So they're very much aware of that. Like they'll actually point to this in the article, and this girl actually quotes that that's what she's worried about. So this has obviously been brought on by the COVID pandemic. So usually these rites were often carried out by older volunteers in the Muslim community, but because a lot of them are still shielding, and because of the number of deaths that have taken place, and disproportionately in England in the South Asian community, it's now like become incumbent on these younger Muslims to like volunteer and learn it. So, I mean, that's literally just one of the effects of COVID, yeah. But so Supporting Humanity is a bereavement charity, and it's now holding workshops to train younger volunteers to carry out the mandatory Islamic ritual. And obviously, it came post-pandemic. They needed more help out with the funerals. So this is now like what you were talking about. So what is ghusl? According to the Islamic tradition, the ghusl is a form of ablution or bath which involves cleansing a body from impurities. There are different types of ghusl, for example, after childbirth and menstruation. The one performed on a deceased Muslim is called ghusl mayyit. It's usually carried out by family members who are the same sex, as Horace was describing, as the person who's died. It involves washing all parts of the body with soap and water in a specific way while maintaining privacy and dignity. So we need up to 6 volunteers to do one ghusl, Salma Patel from Supporting Humanity tells Asian Network. Another attendee, Khadija, 23, feels it's important to learn the technique for upcoming generations because she asks, if we don't learn, then who will be washing and burying our bodies in this way? Around 90 women attended the workshop for female Muslims at the Belgrave Community Centre in East London. They were shown the techniques of washing and shrouding on a mannequin. Sumaya says she didn't realize the private parts of a dead body are covered by a cloth during the process because she says as a young Muslim woman, she was worried about her privacy after death. So it's pretty much exactly what you were saying. That stems from the Prophet making that very much known.
But he
That
did it. He did it for other reasons. Look, it makes sense that, but my point is that this difference is so that makes sense that okay, women get bathed by other women, men get
yeah.
bathed by other men. The but there's no distinction that okay, your private parts can't be seen. Obviously, you're being washed. And I've heard everything gets stiff when you die very quickly. Very quickly, your body starts stiffening up.
Mhm.
So, especially in our case, men's case, I think that I'm not sure if that's a bad thing. But anyway, so well, if you're not very well endowed, maybe it's a bad thing. Like,
If you're
"Ooh."
not well hung.
You're not well hung. Yeah. So, but Muhammad made sure he gave specific instructions that nobody would be allowed to look at my penis. so, um, so I don't know. For a guy who was so willing to use it, didn't want anyone to see it. Must have been something wrong there. Must have been. There must have been something cheeky going on. But But yeah, it's just a trivial fact. There's a hadith
Yeah.
for everything. It's just
But
funny.
also again, just from a really quick UK perspective where we're seeing like the rise of Islamicism and stuff, I am so much like happier when I see that British Muslims would, that they're taking up things like this as opposed to going and taking out their whatever identity and culture and Islamic ways of like trying to express themselves in various other ways.
To help me produce more videos like these, support me on Patreon or PayPal.